Hello and welcome again to Lost in Science. This is half an hour on your radio where we talk about science, and this week we're going to revisit an old segment which we haven't done for a while. We're going to get in our element, and I'm going to ask the question, why is silver only the second most valuable prize metal that you can be awarded? What is silver and what does it do for us, and why is it only always second prize? Why is it never first prize?
Is it always second best, isn't it?
Speaking of winners, though,
Yes.
Chris.
Yeah, hey. Look, a couple of weeks ago, we talked about the most important prizes in science being the Ig Nobel Prizes. Well, today I'm going to talk about the other ones, the Nobel Prizes.
Those ones.
Yeah, every year they give them out. But this I'm to talk about the Nobel Prize for Medicine, because it's a particularly interesting prize this year. There's a couple of achievements there for diseases that affect the developing world, I suppose, more
Parasitic diseases.
Parasitic diseases that
right.
affect the developing world
and the non-developing world.
And but bigger effect in the developing world. Yeah. Some really interesting sort of medicines that have now are helping save a lot of lives, including one derived from traditional Chinese medicine, which is kind of an interesting story. Claire.
I am interviewing Dr. Nicky Eshtiaghi. She's a chemical engineer who's just won the Victorian Professional Engineer of the Year.
Speaking of winners.
Yes. Dr. Nicky Eshtiaghi.
Great.
So Nicky has her research in innovations in wastewater treatment. So. And has a huge grant with Melbourne Water. So I thought I would ask her about that and what happens when you are Victorian Engineer of the Year. Whether she got a big, key to the city or key to the state, or
whether she has to go open things now.
Yeah.
Something better than a silver medal, hopefully.
Does she have to engineer everything in the state now?
Well, everything chemical, possibly.
Everything chemical, yeah.
Winners all round. On with the show.
The Nobel Prize for Medicine, actually the Nobel Prize in Physiology or Medicine, was awarded recently, and it went to three people for two kind of achievements. That's the way the Nobel Prize works. One was for discoveries concerning a novel therapy against infections caused by roundworm parasites, and the other one was for discoveries concerning a novel therapy against malaria. These are both really interesting discoveries. I thought I would talk about them. The other Nobel Prizes are a bit boring, really. So
this is Chris's pick of the Nobel Prize.
It is, actually. It's the most headline grabbing, I suppose.
But, malaria is a pretty huge thing to talk about. I mean, it's one of the biggest killers in the world.
But declining, which is the good news, where we can talk about what is being achieved with this current research, because this research is making a big dent on it.
Great.
And has been for a while? Or just recently?
Just recent, basically this century. So UU2 was the I think I'm pronouncing that right, was a researcher who won the Nobel Prize for malaria. So I'm going to talk about her work initially. And so basically she has developed a medicine, or found a drug called artemisinin. Artemisinin.
Named after the plant Artemisia?
Yes, Artemisia annua, or sweet wormwood.
Right.
You familiar with that one?
Oh, well, it's one of the wormwoods. They made absinthe out of one of the different ones. So
okay, well, there you go.
It's one of the sweeter wormwoods.
Yes. Now, this one is actually a plant that was used in Chinese traditional medicine, or traditional Chinese medicine. Supposedly was mentioned as a treatment for fever in a medical book from something like 1700 years ago.
Wow.
But now, so basically they were essentially plumbing the depths of traditional medicine, trying to find plants or treatments that can be useful, actually do have an effect. And they found this one from the Artemisia annua herb, and developed this new drug out of it. It's like an really interesting prize, because it is that kind of bringing knowledge, I guess, from the traditional practices, and finding out of those plants, what is the actual active ingredient and how do you improve that?
Yeah. So how is the drug useful? Is it useful as a treatment for people with malaria?
It is, yeah. It's a treatment for malaria. Basically, it kills the parasite. The actual mechanism that the way it does it is not totally known,
Right.
but it kills the parasite. Now, I suppose to give a bit of context, as you said, the malaria is a huge killer. But it has been tackled with there's a lot of efforts to try and tackle it, and essentially there's been a lot of success so far. So it was one of the Millennium Development Goals to really try and wipe out malaria.
And one of the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation's biggest targets, right?
They're a huge part of it. So what we've actually seen since the year 2000, death rates have dropped by 60%.
Wow.
This is not insignificant. Incident rates have fallen by 37% globally, death rates by 60%.
Wow.
And the two main things I guess they focused on is, prevention in terms of insecticide-treated nets. So that's one of the things that the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation has been big on is distributing those nets, so mosquito nets. And the other one is this treatment using this new drug. Now, I guess one of the things that makes this drug so special, apart from the fact that it does seem quite effective and is more effective than existing ones derived from, say, quinine. I think there's the chloroquine or a kind of more advanced version of quinine.
From the bark, yeah.
Yeah. Quinine had some problems. Apparently, it has some unpleasant side effects and those sort of things. Apart from if you drink too much gin and tonic, you're gonna feel it.
There's definitely unpleasant side effects.
There are some that, yeah. But so it is. One of the problems is that with the existing drugs, of course, you're getting, as you do with all these things, you're getting resistance. So the parasites are getting resistant to these other drugs, which is why they needed to develop. One of the main reasons they need to develop a new one. And in fact, the World Health Organization now is recommending with this new one that it's not given. They strongly recommend that it's not given on its own. So it's called artemisinin-based combination therapies, where you have it as the main drug, but you have a few other drugs with it, so that you really kind of blitz the parasites with a range of drugs, and they can't get
stops them building up resistance.
Yeah, they can't build resistance to all of them, and so that's the way that's kind of preventing the resistance developing against it. Because big fear that if this is a great new drug, but that if then they develop resistance, then you've lost that benefit.
Mm.
So look, it is a really interesting one. It's making a huge difference, of course, to people's lives. It is developed from a traditional plant. Now, this plant is not terribly common. Fortunately, there have been recent achievements in synthesizing it from genetically engineered yeast. So that way they'll be able to get more supply and
as much as they
lower
want,
the price.
And standard concentrations and stuff too.
Yeah, that's right. So good news all around for malaria. The other half of the prize was for, like I said, the roundworm parasites. Now, this is a drug called, it was originally called avermectin, but they created a better version of it called ivermectin.
Ivermectin.
Yep, that's correct.
Sorry.
And it tackles a range of roundworms. And it was developed by two people. People who won this prize. It was Bill Campbell from Ireland and Satoshi Omura from Japan. And essentially they developed this new drug from bacteria that were found to have anti-parasitic properties. It was a Streptomyces bacteria.
What does the roundworm do?
Well, this is interesting because actually this is a very good anti-parasitic drug, and it tackles a range of roundworms, a few different species. So there's a few different things it can do. The main one that they're using it against is it's called onocurciasis, which is known as river blindness. And this is where a little worm called, I'm going to look its name up. It's got a name similar to that. Onchocerca volvulus. It basically a fly carries it. The fly bites you. This worm gets into you, and then it goes into your eye and makes you blind. Really unpleasant. It also creates nodules in other places.
So it basically eats out your eyeball.
Yeah, something like that. It builds big kind of.
Is that a roundworm that's supposed to be in the human body though, or a roundworm that's supposed to be in a different species and just ends up in the human body? Because mostly roundworms are supposed to be in the digestive system. That's where they.
Well, this one travels, around the skin, falling on the skin. One of the other ones that's being used against, which is another debilitating disease, is elephantiasis, which is a different roundworm. That one is, and it's a disease called lymphatic filariasis. And that's where it causes a big swelling up in your
Blocks
in
up
your
the
limbs.
lymph system.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. So there's a few. It's also used in various veterinary applications as well.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's another one. This one is these diseases are something they call neglected tropical diseases because they don't affect people in developed countries so much. There hasn't been much treatment for them previously, but now there's these new treatments. Apparently, this is as what we're saying, the traditional Chinese medicine getting some bit of attention. This is now on another group that doesn't get a lot of love. Big Pharma, apparently, Merck Pharmaceutical Company is giving away this drug free to the developing countries and making it available free to try and treat these diseases. So they're doing good things as well.
Isn't that nice of them?
That is nice of them. So yeah, look, a lot of people's lives being benefited by these developments that won the Nobel Prize for Medicine. So I think we can all be in favour of that.
That's wonderful, and wonderful that it's being recognised.
It is, yes.
Across Australia on the Community Radio Network, you're listening to Lost in Science.
Our constantly growing urban population puts pressure on all sorts of infrastructure, but something that might not immediately come to mind when you think about infrastructure is sewage systems. And what happens to the sheer volume of sewage that needs to be processed from our cities every day? My guest today is Dr. Nicky Eshtiaghi from RMIT University, who's researching new ways to improve our wastewater treatments by understanding the chemistry and physics of how this waste, or sludge, flows in the first place. So, Nicky, welcome to Lost in Science. Now, I want to ask you a big picture question to start with. How important is clever and innovative waste management for environmental sustainability in our cities? And what sort of issues are facing us now?
Okay. Thanks, Claire, for introduction. Sustainability is a significant contemporary issue. In future livable city, sustainable urban design compel a better integration of the wastewater treatment in the whole urban water cycle, in which treated water has to be reused while excess sludge, or in another word, solid residue left over from the wastewater treatment, has to be seen as a valuable resource and become a second life raw material for energy production. The management of the sludge is one of the world's pressing environmental problems, representing up to 50% of the operational cost of the treatment plant. A sustainable sludge management strategy is of high significance due to legal banning of the conventional sludge disposal methods such as landfilling and rapid population growth and urbanization. Just based on 2013 UNESCO report, right now over half of the world population residing in the urban area. But by 2030, three-quarters of the old people on Earth will live in the city or in urban area.
Oh my gosh.
Consequently, global wastewater sludge generation is increasing at an exponential rate. So development of the innovative system is of high significance with the profound environmental and economical impact.
Now, Nicky, your work deals with something called rheology of wastewater and solids. Can you explain a little bit about what rheology actually is and why it's so important to study?
In fact, rheology, it means the flow behavior of the material, the knowledge that look after to see if any force applied, how the material is going to flow. Maybe I can give a simple example of the rheology. When you take the tomato sauce from your fridge, it's cold, and if you press it, nothing is flowing. But if you shake it, it means you're applying the force few times. Therefore, when you press it, material starts flowing. And that one is how this material is going to flow. That means rheology. And in fact, this flow behavior has the huge impact, how the material can be pumped, how material can be mixed, And my group and we are trying to better understand the behavior of the solid residue left over from wastewater treatment plant, because it's not anymore water. Even if it has a small concentration, flow behavior is changing massively.
Now, you brushed a little bit on the sorts of research that you do. So are there new innovations that you're working on in waste management and rheology? And will these new innovations be benefiting people in Melbourne soon?
Maybe I can start with explaining about the anaerobic digestion.
Yeah.
In fact, this solid residue which left over from the wastewater treatment plant, it would be sent to the anaerobic digester for biogas production.
So the anaerobic
digestion of a sludge.
Sorry, the anaerobic digestion, does that mean that you've got microbes that don't exist in oxygenated areas and they do a lot of the digestion for you?
Yes, correct. This microorganism consume organic matter in the absence of oxygen, which significantly reducing sludge volume, which we don't want to left over in the plant. And also we can produce biogas as a renewable energy sources. But this digester operation can fail if the bacteria doesn't obtain enough nutrients. But due to lack of understanding of the sludge flow behavior and its impact on the mixing, current annual electricity costs of the anaerobic digester across the all wastewater treatment plant in Australia is about $3 million per year.
Wow.
Despite the fact that they are handling very low solid concentration. It is about 2%. A lot of the greenhouse gas emission, which would be around 60,000 tons of the carbon dioxide per year. And all these costs will increase if our population is increasing and we have to utilize the same facility with the higher solid concentration of the sludge. And my aim and the team that I involve working with them, it's aimed to better understand the flow behavior of a sludge and its impact on the mixing and optimize the anaerobic digester operation and reduce the electricity costs and to have the helping Australia to reach the aim of the reduction of the greenhouse gas emission.
Well, extremely important environmental aims and objectives there.
Yeah, that's right. I'm involved with another project, which whatever the solid is come out from this anaerobic digester usually sit for 3 years before can be used for the land application and for soil conditioning.
Finally, I just want to say congratulations on your Engineers Australia Award as Victorian Professional Engineer of the Year.
Thank you.
How did you know chemical engineering was what you wanted to do? And I want to know whether you would encourage other young women to follow in this path.
When I was high school student, I was interested about the chemistry and mathematics, and that's why I ended up doing the chemical engineering. And also, I was always fascinating to see how raw material can be converted to the everyday use product. That's why I really enjoyed very much chemical engineering to fulfill this inspiration. We need more women engineers talent to contribute to this field of knowledge. And it requires our young female chemical engineers to actively search for a right mentor for themselves to help them to grow and progress in their career by giving them right advice as they face any difficulty in their work.
Well, thank you again so much for speaking to us today on Lost in Science, Nicky, and congratulations again on your award.
Thank you so much, Claire, for such a wonderful and great opportunity that you have provided for a few minutes chat. Thank you.
been a while since we've had an In Our Element segment, and we did do gold some considerable time ago now.
Yeah, I remember that.
But I thought it was about time to look at the second place getter of the metals in the periodic table, which is silver, and find out a little bit more about it, and maybe try and figure out why does gold get first place and silver comes second. So silver is a metal, as I said. The chemical symbol Ag, which is from the Greek word for silver, which is argyros. Its atomic number is 47, and interestingly, silver is the product of a special kind of fusion, which is found pretty much only in exploding supernovas. So all the silver on Earth is literally stardust that arrived here from somewhere else. Now, it's more abundant on Earth than gold, which explains why it's cheaper than gold, because it's easier to find, but it's also quite a bit more useful than gold. So it's got decorative qualities, which people have been familiar with since antiquity, but it's also got some pretty high-tech applications too. Now, silver gets the first place for a number of features of this particular metal. It has the highest electrical conductivity of any metal.
Really?
Has the highest thermal conductivity of any metal, and it has the highest reflectivity of any metal. So basically, it's the shiniest thing that we have on Earth.
Really?
Is that why it's used for silverware, like cutlery?
Well, yeah, just because it looks nice as well.
And to blind your enemies?
Yeah, well, you could probably use it that way too. Shine the light with your silver-plated knife.
That's right.
But it is still quite malleable. It's slightly harder than gold, but you can work with it very easily, which is another reason why they make jewelry and stuff out of
And
it.
why you don't have gold cutlery, because it would kind of be bendy and stuff. Yeah.
Yeah, fork would bend every time. Yeah.
Are there any well-known alloys of silver?
There are some alloys with silver in them, but it's kind of quite expensive. So even though it's cheaper than gold, it varies in price, relative to gold. I think in the last 100 years, it's varied between 1/15 the price of gold and 1/100th the price of gold.
That's a large variation.
Yeah, markets, people buy silver futures and things like that. Ideally, it would be a better choice for electrical wiring than copper because it has the highest conductivity, but it is expensive, so you're not going to see it replacing copper wiring anytime soon. But there are some applications where silver or silver-plated wiring or components are used. Things like VHF radios often have silver coatings on their wires because of the high frequency of the signals. Apparently, the silver coating makes them more efficient because the electricity flows along the outside of the wire rather than in the middle. Just depends on the application, I guess. It's obviously been used in mirrors for many, many, many years, and as currency.
Silvered mirror.
Yeah, the back of a mirror is usually silver or some sort of silver-based paint. Well, certainly traditionally, there's probably cheaper alternatives now. Obviously, people have used it as currency, and it is actually legal tender in the state of Utah in the United States. You can just carry silver and expect people to take it from you as payment.
Is it the only legal tender over there?
It's not the only legal tender. I think the US
The
dollar
US dollar?
bills are still accepted widely.
The United Kingdom used to have silver standard, and I've been reading about Isaac Newton lately and his time running the Royal Mint when there are huge problems with people basically melting down all the silver currency and taking it to Europe because it bought gold better in Europe than it did in England. Yes, in his time they moved to the gold standard, I think, so they fixed that problem.
Bit of a problem.
Yeah.
So more recently, silver has been used in the manufacture of photovoltaic solar cells. It's a key component in those PV panels that you see on people's roofs, and in electronic components, and they use it in small batteries for watches and hearing aids, silver-based batteries. It's got a long history of being used in old-fashioned chemical-based photography and photographic printmaking, and apparently the darkest black colours in photographs is due to a silver oxide that they use in the developing process.
So it's not only shiny; it's also very black.
When it's combined with other things, I mean, most things change color if you combine them into different salts and stuff. They also use it in infrared telescope mirrors because of its high reflectivity, and it also reduces the effect of the radiation of the mirror itself.
Oh.
So they can sort of tune out a lot of the background infrared that would be coming through the telescope. In medical applications, it's a useful antibiotic. So in a high enough concentration, silver will kill most bacteria and microbial life.
Is this where they're also using it as nano silver? You see that?
They
as
do
well?
use it for certain applications. Yeah, they use nano silver. But again, yeah, it's as an antibiotic. But they also use it for things like catheters if they've got to be inserted for a really long time.
Okay.
They use silver-based catheters because they prevent secondary infections.
So it kills bacteria. It also kills werewolves.
Silver bullets are very good for lycanthropy.
Yeah.
So much so that the werewolf is now extinct.
Right.
Yeah. So silver itself is not toxic to human or animals, other than werewolves.
Yep.
But almost all of the compounds and salts it forms are toxic, which is quite a problem. So poisoning can occasionally occur, which sometimes can result in changes of skin and eye colour. People actually go sort of bluish
Silvery
grey.
blue.
Yeah.
Ah.
Yeah. And there's been cases where people have taken what they call colloidal silver, which is supposed to have these amazing healing effects, which actually ends up being toxic and killing them in the end. And they turn blue before they die. So colloidal silver is definitely not something that anyone would recommend for your health.
Gotcha.
Now, in the Second World War, the US government needed to free up other metals like tin and copper and nickel for the war effort.
Mm-hmm.
So they actually lent out silver from their silver reserves and gave them to, industrial firms to use in replacement for, tin solder and stuff like that.
Yep.
And copper wiring and copper components were replaced with silver in some applications.
Tin cans.
I'm not exactly sure how they went about recovering it all because it would have been these tiny little bits of silver scattered around the country in electrical equipment. And,
So they did try and recover it.
well, I can only assume it was their silver reserve. It was, it was an investment that the government owned. So I guess winning the war probably made
Return
some
on
money.
investment,
Yeah, return
yeah.
on investment was reasonable. Silver is an incredibly useful metal. I think it's been unfairly relegated to second place behind gold, especially when you consider that the third place, bronze,
Shameful bronze.
it's not even it's not a metal. It's an alloy. It's just like a bunch of stuff melted together. It's like silver's been like, well, you're only second place, but at least you're not bronze, I guess. It's the poor rich metal, I think.
Is hi-ho silver. I think we can all agree.
That's all we've got time for on this episode of Lost in Science. Thanks for tuning in and joining us. Lost in Science is recorded at the studios of 3CR in Melbourne and broadcast across Australia on the Community Radio Network with the financial assistance of the Community Broadcasting Foundation. If you want to talk to us, talk back to us, you can get in touch. We have a Gmail account, lostinsci@gmail. You can also find us on Twitter and on the Facebook. And if that's not enough Lost in Science for you, you can always tune in again next week where the team will once again get Lost in Science!
Thanks for listening to a 3CR podcast. 3CR is an independent community radio station based in Melbourne, Australia. We need your financial support to keep going. Go to www.3cr.org.au for more information and to donate online.